It's hump day. Uh-oh. Usually on hump day, there's nothing to talk about, right? Trade deadline. NFC North did some stuff. I just shared this broadcast to my story. Can you do the same thing while we getting this show ready? Put what team you represent in the comments. Good morning, everybody. Oh, we got him in there already. Good morning, Dwayne. Good morning, Jeremy B. Good morning, John. Good morning, Stacy. Oh no, we gotta block Stacy. Blocking the user. Yeah, we don't care. You already know. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Let's do it. Yes, it is Football Talk with Russell Wayne. That is me right here. It is Wednesday. It's hump day right here. We're broadcasting live into Mike the Bear Fan, Detroit Lions Villain Squad. That's us. Detroit Lions News and our YouTube channel. And if you are over there on the YouTube channel, which is over here to me, my YouTube channel's over there, can you please give me a subscribe? Can you please give me a like? Because if you're watching right here, right now, you have to be liking football, right? You're a football fan. You don't watch a talking head talk about football unless you're a football fan. And that's what you are right here. And I appreciate you for being a football fan. So, man, the trade deadline has came and the trade deadline has went. And the NFC North has done some stuff. And I like that the NFC North has done some stuff right here. I got to put a kudo out to where I think the best move. I shouldn't say the best move. I should say the biggest move I would think would be Sweat being traded to the Chicago Bears. So I wanted to start there. I want to know what y'all thought about that, even as Lions fans. What did you think of the Bears getting Montez Sweat for I believe it was a second round pick? Jeremy B will correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff right here, but it was a second round pick for Montez Sweat. I mean, the Bears are buyers at the trade deadline. Buyers, yeah. And Jeremy B coming right in there. I know you were the last one. I should go back in there and get these other comments in here too. But right, this is how I feel. I feel that the Bears overcompensated for it. And I believe that's one of the reasons why the Lions didn't get involved in some of these high dollar stuff right there. Chase Young is an injured dude. He's been injured. You're taking a chance on him and you got to pay him too. So we didn't have the money for that. But I think the Bears overcompensated. But here's the thing. They have so much money in the Bears because they've been so awful for so long. No, not as long as the Lions, right? No, the Bears have the money. So they paid a second round pick. That's an overcompensation. But if he's part of your future, you know they're going to sign him to a bigger deal, right? I mean, they'll pay him $25, $30 million a year. So they pay a second round pick, but that's what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to build the solid part of their roster, the guys that you can build around. So I don't mind the move. I do think they overpaid for it, but they have the compensation to overpay. So, dumb move. Ken says it's a dumb move by the Bears. 9-game rental. It's not going to be a rental, Ken. Now, if what Ken says is right, it is a dumb move. Like if they don't re-sign him and he isn't part of their long-term, you paid a second round pick to, have a guy on your team for 9 months when your team's bad. That would be dumb. But I don't think they paid a second round pick to have him come over and play for 9 games. I think that you'll see that Ryan Poles will give him an extension. Probably they already had, they might even have it already done. But what do you think of the Bears trade right there? And another one that, maybe a little under the radar for the Detroit Lions, getting Donovan People-Jones. Let me go back in here and see if I find anything right here. Dwayne Keene, you were the first one on here today, so I'll read your comment on this right here. They traded 2025 6-round pick for Donovan People-Jones. Awesome. Let's go Lions. One pride. Go Blue. Wolverines. Welcome back home, DPJ. Yeah, homegrown. Now, I'm not a Michigan fan, but I do appreciate Michigan talent when they come to the Detroit Lions. So I don't mind this at all. And we can talk about that. Donovan People-Jones, right? I've heard them saying that that's an indictment on Jameson Williams, right? You bring in Donovan People-Jones. That says that they don't believe in Jameson Williams. I don't think it says that at all. I think Jameson Williams is who Jameson Williams is right now, which is a guy that's learning the NFL, and you wanted him to progress fast, way faster. You wanted your 12th overall pick to progress faster into the offense. But Donovan Peoples-Jones came here because Marvin Jones all of a sudden retired. That's the main reason they traded for Donovan Peoples-Jones. And it says more about Antoine Green than it says about Jameson Williams, considering Donovan Peoples-Jones and Antoine Green are playing the same type of position. So I like the move. It's fine. Donovan Peoples-Jones, bring him home. And how are you feeling out there about the Lions not going out there and getting a pass rusher? Because I know there's a lot of people. This is a divided fan base when it comes to that. I know that. And you have every right to feel like that, right? But I want to caution you to feel like that because I think that Brad Holmes has earned your trust. I think that Brad Holmes has earned your trust as a Lions fan. Brad Holmes has earned your trust. When you have 23 out of 23 of your draft picks that are on your team right now, and you guys are just like, yo, you should have given up a 3rd-round pick and gotten Chase Young. I mean, that may or may not work out for them. I mean, aren't they hurt on the offense? Isn't Deebo Samuel hurt? What are they doing trading for pass rushers when their team's already good? I don't know. I question it more on their end, giving up the draft picks. But, I mean, their team has been in that Super Bowl window for a few years, right? The Lions are just now opening up their Super Bowl window. And for Brad Holmes to say, you know what? I'm going to bet on the guys that I brought in rather than go outside the organization and bring in a name. For him to say that, and if he wants to say that, I think Brad Holmes has earned that right to say that. That he believes in the guys that he has in here. That he believes that the guys that we have coming back from injury are going to be able to fill that gap. And you're talking about a team that just sacked the quarterback 6 freaking times. You come off of a back game that bounced back. It's the same thing when they played Seattle and they lost. They came in back in the next game and they bounced back. Stop compartmentalizing one game and saying, this is the way that they are, and we need to worry about that. That's the way that they're always going to be now. It's not always going to be like that. Teams can get better. This team will get better. You're going to bring back Josh Pascal, who just got back. James Houston. You got these injured players that you're bringing in addition-wise. You're bringing a stud pass rusher. That's fine. Who you cutting? Got main event Mike sitting in the back right here. I know he wants to talk about this. We were talking about it earlier this morning. Welcome to the program, main event Mike.
Good morning, Russ.
Good morning. We talked a little bit, just to recap where we've been so far. We're talking about the trade deadline stuff. We talked a little bit about Montez Sweat and a 2nd-round pick for a 2nd-round pick going to the Bears. I like the player. Thought they overpaid. That's kind of where I was at with that. But you got the player.
I do too. But when you're Chicago Bears, you got to do something. Now you add him with Yannick Ngakoue. They've got some really good pieces on defense now. They're making moves, man, to get their team better.
Yep.
I mean, the NFC North was the busiest division by far in free agency. And it shows you they're all scrambling to keep up with the Joneses, also known as the Detroit Lions.
The Joneses and Donovan Peoples-Joneses. We got into a little bit of that, and I saved the other one for you because I know that you were big on the Minnesota trade that we'll get to in a minute. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, I like the player. They didn't pay anything for it. You know, it was like a 6th-round pick for like 2 years from now. So I like the move, and Brad Holmes is really just kind of feeling like he's just believing in the guys that he brought. And that's more value to Brad Holmes than bringing in somebody from the outside that might have the name attached to it, you know? How do you feel about that? Do you feel that we missed an opportunity?
I don't, because of the salary cap. And I love the Donovan Peoples-Jones signing for several reasons. For one, he fits what the Lions do. He's a very willing and capable blocker downfield. The emergence of Elijah Moore in Cleveland made him expendable. So I love what he brings. He's a hometown kid from Detroit, grew up a Lions fan, so he's going to bring that passion. And what does this mean for Antoine Green? He's the floor of the wide receiver room. A 7th round draft pick is the floor. You now bring in Donovan Peoples-Jones, who will now leapfrog him in the rotation. I don't think this affects really Jameson Williams like a lot of people are squawking about. I love this addition. We didn't have any cap money to get a Montez Sweat. We didn't have the money to pay Chase Young. We will next year, but we do not this year. And right now we're 6-2, leading the division. All things are good, and chemistry is really huge. And you hear Brad Holmes and you hear Dan Campbell talk about it. Why would you mess with it? If it isn't broke, don't fix it, right? So, no, I would have loved to see them get Patrick Surtain. Yeah, that would have been great. Any kind of addition to the back 7 on defense would have been great, I think. But we just didn't have the money. It's not like we're the Bears. It's not like we're the Packers where we need help that bad. And you know what? They did address a position of need at the trade deadline by replacing Marvin Jones with a former Michigan Wolverine.
You see. Yeah.
You like that?
Know that you like that. That's great. That's great. He's a good contested ball catcher, and he's proven that he can be a good contested ball catcher in the NFL. And that's what we really needed, is a guy that you can count on to go, to be able to go up and get that red zone Calvin Johnson-esque, you got to have a guy that can do that. And Sam Laporta was doing a decent job at that, but you need other guys that can do that. Antoine Green, it's not that he's a bad player or anything like that, but he's a 7th round draft pick. It puts him further down the depth chart a little bit, helps him, get a little more accustomed to the NFL. And Jameson Williams, I mean, he's getting targets every week. They're going to find ways, regardless of who they added on offense, to get the ball into Jameson Williams' hands. Mm-hmm. They're going to utilize that speed.
And here's a point that's not been made a lot, Russ. Khalil Dorsey injured again in his return, coming back from injury. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a good return man as well. So he adds a little bit of versatility there. Like you said, he's a great 50-50 ball catcher, which is something the Lions need outside the numbers. They need a good tall receiver that can do that. Marvin Jones has left a small hole in this roster, and Brad Holmes just plugged it basically for a bag of chips. So I love it. Love the move.
So I want to know out there, because I know that the fan base is divided. I don't understand how this fan base is so left and right. Sometimes it's like you come off a win and you're 6-2, you're high for 12 hours, and then all of a sudden the train got derailed because we didn't pick up the guy you wanted at the trade deadline. Now they're off the bandwagon again, Mike. But I want to know if you're really upset that they didn't go aggressively after. Did you feel like the Lions missed an opportunity because San Francisco got richer, and it appeared that the Philadelphia Eagles also got richer? The Chicago Bears go out there and they get richer. But when you can feel that way, but I want to caution you in this way. If you're so quick to give up a 3rd round pick for somebody that's never been on the team, just remember Brad Holmes brought in Kirby Joseph for a 3rd round pick. Brad Holmes brought in Aleem McNeil for a 3rd round pick. And that seems to be working out pretty good for us right now. I would just say, go ahead and let Brad Holmes cook. You guys can keep your known commodities that we don't know anything about, and we'll go ahead and keep our known commodities on the inside and trust the man who's been cooking up a pretty good recipe so far. And why wouldn't you bet on your own damn team, right? Why would I want to get rid of guys that I brought in to make the team better for guys that I didn't bring in, and then you would have to pay them?
Right.
How disrespectful is that to Aiden Hutchinson and Amon-Ra St. Brown, who have worked, for 2 years, 3 years, building this franchise up from nothing, and then you just bring in, Chase Young, it's $20 million a year. I'd be like, what's going on here?
Well, it's the San Francisco 49ers are about 2 years ahead of the Detroit Lions.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
In the build. And you can see this. And what makes it so special is when you hit on late round draft picks, right? Drake Greenlaw, Fred Werner, Brock Purdy, the names go on and on. Brandon Ayuk, all these major contributors to this team in San Francisco were not first round draft picks. It gives you flexibility in the salary cap. It gives you the ability to control these contracts. It keeps the numbers down for a while. And that's exactly what the Detroit Lions are doing. They're just a year or two behind the Niners in that respect.
Right.
2 years from now, Brad Holmes will have this. And no, guess what? No team is under the salary cap more than the 49ers as a result of that. And this fluid salary cap that Brad Holmes has been building, we're going to see that in a couple of years where we can go out and get a big name free agent defensive lineman because we'll have the money to do so and we'll already be a winning organization. That's what happens when you hit on late round draft picks and you're able to build your team through the draft the way the Lions have done. Now, there's another model, which is the Rams model. F those draft picks, go out, spend a bunch of money, win a Super Bowl, get all these free agents. But you know what? That's a much riskier bet. That's not a solid foundation to build the team on. I don't want to say they got lucky. They got lucky. I mean, they're one interception from Matt Stafford in the NFC Championship game away from not making it to that Super Bowl.
It's my quarterback.
And then how would you be viewing all of this? Completely different.
Yeah, and that's where I was yesterday. I was dreaming the dream. And, we do understand that if we wanted to get somebody like Max Crosby, for one, you got to pay that man. You got to pay that man immediately, and you're going to give him a max contract for Max Crosby. And you would have to pay a couple first-round picks. And if they had done that, similar to the Jalen Ramsey situation a couple years ago when they went all in on that, I wouldn't mind that. I mean, I wouldn't to me, if they added a stud player, that's fine. Yeah, Julian Okwara, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to get waived if we can get Max freaking Crosby, right? But paying that big amount and then putting your trust into a Julian Okwara as, a depth piece along with his brother Romeo, along with James Houston and Josh Pascal and John Kaminsky and Charles Harris and all of these guys that are building a rotation of guys that go along with Aiden Hutchinson. That's much cheaper. We don't have to spend any more draft picks. We still have all of our draft picks for next year. We're still in a good spot, guys. Like Brad Holmes has cooked up a pretty good recipe here in Detroit. And I'm willing to go. There's no way I could go at this point and say, well, I think Brad's doing it wrong. He's doing it better than anybody ever. So there we go.
Certainly the best the Lions have ever had. And boy, I'm itching to talk about some of these other things, man, whenever you're ready.
Go ahead. Segue us into this
last week leading up to the, I'm actually going to talk about something else. Okay. Last week leading up to the Raiders game with the Lions, we asked the question on our panel on the Monday night show, who is under more pressure? Is it the Lions or the Raiders to win this game? Unequivocally, the answer was the Raiders, and I cited because Josh McDaniels is on the hot seat. If he loses this game, I don't think he even makes it to Thanksgiving. And we hear the news last night, Dave Ziegler, the GM and the head coach, Josh McDaniels, fired in Las Vegas. And the Raiders now with an interim coach, Antonio Pierce, former Super Bowl champion, will be the interim coach, former linebacker for the New York Giants. I think we're going to see a big turnaround in Las Vegas, but this is really big news. I think it was a great move by the Raiders. McDaniels had lost the team. They stunk it up. Even in the game when they beat the Packers on Thursday Night Football, they looked terrible. So big news there for the Raiders. And we're going to see some free agents coming off of that team next year as well. The one thing I like also is Josh Dobbs going to the Vikings. Kudos to Kwesi for pulling off a move, getting a quarterback in there. He might not be the sexiest name, but he's 1-7 as a starter, but the kid's a gamer. He can run the ball. He can throw the ball. He's at least better than Jaron Hall, who you're planning on starting this week. So kudos to the Vikings for Josh Dobbs. And let's talk about what the real big news is in the NFC North. It is not Donovan Peoples-Jones. It is not Montez Sweat. It is not Josh Dobbs. It is the loss of Rasul Douglas in Green Bay. Russ, I got to ask you, do you think are the Packers throwing in the towel? They're already thin in the secondary. It's already the weakest part of their team, and they give away arguably one of their best players.
Yeah, I mean, I think they threw in the towel really at the beginning of the season when they traded Aaron Rodgers. But I mean, you couldn't tell a Packer fan that at the beginning of the season. But this is just more evidence that they're 40 million behind the cap when it comes to this Aaron Rodgers trade. And they rolled the dice out there. They gave Jordan Love his shot, but he's not very good. So this is you're dealing with it, as a Packer fan, you're selling in this season. You're not going to try to lose games, but when you trade away your best players for draft picks, you're going to put a lesser talented person into that slot, and you're going to get owned. You're going to lose games, and you're going to get a better draft pick because of it. So there you go.
Our good friend Jeremy Ballrick says Donovan Peoples-Jones was being underutilized in the emergence of Elijah Moore. Only 18 targets while playing 83% of the offensive snaps. He's in the top 25% of wide receivers, and run blocking is why. No block, no rock.
That's right. That's right. He must have heard the memo. Came straight down from Ben Johnson. Said no block, no rock.
Is Sarah been on this morning? I'm interested to know what she thinks about the Josh Dobbs move.
Yeah, because that was kind of left field right there. Because you were calling for Colt McCoy. We were in the Colt McCoy bandwagon.
It's my quarterback.
But no, Josh Dobbs is the guy. I think it's underwhelming for them. It doesn't really move the needle. Somebody's got to play quarterback, whether it's Josh Dobbs or Jaron Hall. Maybe Jaron Hall can even win that job.
But look around the league and look at who's available. I like Josh Dobbs better than any of those candidates, even Colt McCoy. I didn't think Josh Dobbs was an option because he has been playing well in Arizona. Kyler Murray now coming back off of injury, warming up, throwing the ball, running around, they say. So he'll be back soon. And then they really like their rookie, Clayton Tune from University of Houston. Big, tall quarterback, could throw the ball real well. So they're kind of set up. Josh Dobbs was expendable, and I'm kind of mad at myself for not seeing this coming. Colt McCoy cut by the Arizona Cardinals because Dobbs beat him out in camp. So like I said, kudos to the Vikings. This is a good move. It's not the move that fixes all their problems. It's not another Kirk Cousins coming back in, but it's at least going to make them more competitive than they would have been. All of the other free agent possibilities out there, Nick Foles, Matt Ryan, even Colt McCoy. I like Josh Dobbs better. So kudos to the Vikings. They did what they could.
Detroit Fan Man says, DPJ, I'm whelmed. Replacing Marvin Jones, 5 receptions this year is not on top of my shopping list, but he adds a bit of depth, which otherwise seemed like an empty room. Again, just whelmed.
Just whelmed. Not overwhelmed, not underwhelmed, just whelmed.
It was a need. DPJ, not what I thought we needed, more what I thought we would do at the trade deadline. I mean, people can feel that way. I mean, I'm not going to beat anybody up for being underwhelmed with not really doing much other than picking up a depth wide receiver. But it was needed. We had a plan in place, and Marvin Jones was part of that plan. And when he suddenly retired, it opened up a giant hole with somebody that they wanted to fill with a veteran guy. And that's what Donovan Peoples-Jones is.
Yeah, and he does placate a portion of the fan base that at least they did something at the trade deadline. Honestly, Russ, I ask you, if they'd have done nothing, if Brad Holmes would have just stood pat on his roster now and done nothing at the trade deadline, you'd be fine with that, right?
Yeah, I was totally good with that.
I'd be probably fine with that.
I was dreaming the impossible dream, because what I really didn't want to have them do was what they did, which was just kind of pick up a mid-tier guy and make the team a little bit better. But I don't mind Donovan Peoples-Jones because it did fill a need. But, if they were going to do a trade, I wanted it to be big. Go get Max Crosby, right? Go get Danielle Hunter. Go get somebody that is like, boom, right there, right in smack middle of the defense. That's what I wanted them to do, but they would have had to pay an egregious amount. They would have had to work cap stuff that they don't want to work. I mean, he's built this roster, and him doing that would be something that would be way out of his character, way out of what he's shown us so far as a GM. But you do get a tipping point, like what you're saying. You get to a point where I do have my roster already filled with a whole bunch of young guys that are good, that are on rookie contracts. Now I can fill the rest of these spots, maybe take some shots and go get a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I believe that we are all in, but he's all in from his all in. Like they've already went all in for their all in. They got Emmanuel Mosley and Chauncey Gardner. That didn't work out because of injury reasons, but they're still all in with their depth.
You look at teams like the Niners and the Bills. The Bills getting Rasul Douglas from the Packers. That's a great move for them. They're banged up in the secondary. They know they're a contender. They needed that piece. The Lions the Lions are not, they have a little bit of a luxury where they're not as desperate as some of these other teams are. And one thing is for sure, we do have, because this team is so stacked up and down the roster, we do have draft capital that we can part with to make the team better. I just wish we had a little bit more cap room to make it happen. But hey, we're riding this team. And by the way, Russ, it's not over. There's going to be some players that are released still this season. There's going to be other teams that are scouring practice squads. They're going to find players and pick them up, and they're going to cut players. And Brad Holmes has already shown that he's a master at working the waiver wire and poaching from practice squads. So, maybe there's still time. It's not over yet. Brad Holmes can still make this team better, maybe with a defensive piece or two.
And that's it. And do we really even need it? And that's what it is. It's like, even if they had gotten other people, it's like they have these guys that they put onto the roster that haven't, they're working their way up the depth chart, right? As injuries happen, we haven't even seen all the guys that could possibly step in and be contributors on this team that's a depth. So I wouldn't want to give up on one of those guys that you actually already bet on without even giving them a chance. Like a Julian, like the Romeo and Charles and, Stephen Gilmore on the defensive backs. It's like, we got these guys, they made the team. Would you just throw them out if we got another cornerback and free on a trade? Are you going to throw out these guys that have been practicing with these guys on the practice squad every day since August, that know the defense already? Bring in a total stranger. I mean, that's what you're doing, right? I'm bringing somebody in from the outside. I'm going to go make a trade. It's a trade deadline. I need a cornerback. Well, I have a deep roster of cornerbacks right now. I got a bunch of guys that are young that have been practicing with the team that are good. Are you sure that this guy from the outside is going to be better than the guy that's been with the team the whole time? Because you got to get rid of one of them to bring them in. So I don't know if you guys think about that type of stuff right there. Brent says that DPJ is 6'2", about 210 pounds. He ran a 4.48. He will be a solid piece.
I agree. A solid piece. And and believe me, I wholeheartedly believe that Brad Holmes was cooking up something big, trying to get something done. We could have sent a couple of players. We could have had another team pick up a portion of the contract because we were limited with salary cap. I believe he was working on those things, but it just wasn't to be, and he wasn't going to do anything stupid to hamstring his salary cap or his team moving forward.
Jeremy B says that, plus don't forget that we have Houston possibly returning.
Does Jeremy even watch the show, or does he just like type blindly? I mean, we love you, Jay.
Hey, he's doubling down. I'm going back. He probably was hitting.
He probably said that before we did. Right.
I am doubling down. I'm throwing it out there because I just said that, and Jeremy is also agreeing with my sentiments right here. Brent, he was one of those 3 sacks and 4 big runs. You must be talking. See, sometimes I don't know if you're talking to me, Jeremy. Montez Sweat has the lowest pressure rate of his career this season. Maybe a change of scenery helps, but after 8 games, I doubt it. Yeah, they traded him for a reason. You don't trade talented players in the middle of the season if they're kicking ass on your team.
Yeah. Is Washington throwing in the towel? Getting rid of Chase Young and Montez Sweat? Are they giving up?
Right. Chase Young won't eat a kneecap. Selfish. Not a team player.
I love that. Thank you, Thomas, for that comment.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, and when I look at the San Francisco 49ers, I agree with everything that you had said, Mike, earlier about the 49ers. But they needed help on offense. Like, they're the ones that should have went out and got wide receivers with their injuries of Deebo Samuel. Maybe it's not supposed to be that long, but you need help on offense. Your defense is studly, and it's been studly. It's defense wasn't your problem. So
but last week against the Vikings, they had 0 sacks. Okay, against the Vikings, they had 0 sacks. Kirk Cousins was carving them up. So they got to get a pass rush going. They know if they're going to try to make it to a Super Bowl, they're going to need to do better than they have the last 3 weeks in a row.
Wow, man. Hey, that proves right there that San Francisco fan could act just like Lion fan and overreact about their defense when the other team actually is really good at offense, like Kirk Cousins. You looked at Kirk Cousins, you're like, yeah, my buddy told me that he wasn't very good. Yeah, Kirk. And then Kirk comes in and becomes Kirk and is a really good quarterback, carves you up with a good wide receiver core, a couple good tight ends. You get carved up a little bit. Now all of a sudden we're throwing in the towel. Oh my God, we got to go get pass rushers. What's wrong with us? Nick Bosa didn't get a sack. Maybe he's a bust.
No, but if the Lions lose 3 in a row like that, and they aren't getting a pass rush, they can't get to the quarterback, and 3 games in a row you lose, maybe you do go out and do something. Kudos for the Niners for making a move. I mean, they're legit contenders, and they got to show their fan base that they're committed.
Yeah. You traded for Chase Young the week after your quarterback throws 3 interceptions in the game. Oh, gosh. Yeah, but Brock Purdy's good because he was Mr. Irrelevant. Bear down, Mike. The Bears 29th in QB pressures, bringing in Sweat. They'll go straight up to 12th in the league.
They go straight to 12th in the league. How do you figure that, Mike? Did you just pull that number out of your butthole? They go to 12th in the league. Not 13th, not 11th.
Oh, 12th.
They go to 12th in the league now.
Right out of the teens.
Because of one guy who's got 2 sacks this year. Come on.
Skipping all the teens. We're going right past all the teens. We're going right to 12, Mike.
Right to number 12.
Straight to 12.
With one guy.
That's a good pickup, though. I do like that pickup for you guys in the future. I do believe you overpaid to a 2nd-round pick, but because now you're going to have to pay him too. But you got to build your team around cornerstone pieces, and this guy, I think he was one of the guys that ran like a 4.40 at his combine as a pass rusher.
This comment bugs the shit out of me. You know, I'm trying to be a kinder, gentler main event Mike these days since I've just destroyed all the fan bases and trash talk, and I'm trying to tone it down a bit. But a comment like that makes my freaking head hurt. I mean, these Bears fans, every free agent that's available could potentially be a Bear. And when you get a guy, a mid-tier guy, Montez Sweat, let's face it, he's not a premier pass rusher. He's outside the top 10 of pass rushers in this league. And for what you paid him top 10 money. And where does these Bears fans think now he automatically skyrockets your entire defense to 12th in pressures? I'm going to tone it down, Russ. We love Bear Down Mike. I'm just going to tone it down.
He's
not a Packer fan, so I'm going to take it easy.
They were buyers at the trade deadline, and they filled a position of need. So they may have overpaid, but they did fill their position of need. You can build around that. Graduate of Cass Tech High School, top recruit. And then he chose Michigan over 17 other schools nationally. Yep, and he played for a horrible Michigan team that got its ass kicked by Ohio State that year. So, Jeremy, that's probably why Brad Holmes didn't bring anyone in, because it was going to open up things for Hutch and Aline. Yeah, I think that's where Brad Holmes not getting a pass rusher is saying to his pass rusher room that he believes in his pass rusher room. We got a bunch of guys in there that are good. I know everybody wants somebody outside of Aiden to step up in the sack totals, but you got a bunch of guys with a couple sacks, and that's what you want. You got your star player and Aiden Hutchinson, and then you got a whole bunch of other guys with like 1 and 2 sacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's good.
And to bear down Mike's point, the Bears are 29th in pressures, but they're dead last in sack total.
29th in pressures. Our first priority is to re-sign Goff. Okay. I don't know about that.
I know. Oh, I thought Russell Wayne would agree with that 100%.
I don't know. I mean, we got him signed through 2024. I love Goff. I mean, I may be the biggest Goff supporter on planet Earth, but I also understand that the NFL is a business, and Brad Holmes is very good at this business. So, I mean, to use Goff might not get re-signed till next summer. I mean, I don't think it's even close to the first priority. The first priority is to re-sign these guys going into the last year of their contracts, which would be Goff, Aline, Barnes, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ifatu Melifanu. Like these guys were, I mean, when you hit on every pick, not all these guys are going to get re-signed. So you got to make a choice on some of these guys. Who are you going to build your franchise around? So I don't know. I think if Goff does re-sign, I think that he's going to take a hometown discount, because I don't think that Brad Holmes would have it any other way. I don't think he's going.
And that brings up a good point. Yeah. And all of those players you mentioned, that's what's changed here in Detroit. Derek Barnes might be able to get more money to go somewhere else, but he might take a little less to stay here as well.
Right.
Because we're a winner and the culture is good. And everyone is happy in the building. They love their coaches. They love their teammates. They love their fans. It's a great situation to be a Detroit Lion. And it's also a good time to be a Detroit Lion fan. So if you're a Detroit Lion fan, head over to our YouTube and subscribe, because we got a douchebag who tried to get our page shut down, and he's now beating us on YouTube. So we need all of these villains to head over to YouTube at Main Event 365. Please, please, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll keep bringing you this content on Facebook, but it would really help us if you would help pump up our YouTube and we can beat this douchebag out.
Right there, that QR code. All you got to do is point your phone right at that QR code, and it'll actually take you right to the YouTube channel. Pretty cool, huh? Isn't that nice? Right there. You can do it. You can do it. Technology is such an amazing thing too. And while we're doing the walk around right here, here's the Detroit Lions Villain Squad. And if you are watching from the Detroit Lions Villain Squad, please be sure to follow the page, like the video on whatever platform that you're watching it on, and even share it into your networks if you think that we're good at what we do, or even if you think that we just suck and you just want to point out how bad we suck to somebody else, go ahead and share the video to them so they can see how bad we suck. And you know why?
Look, man.
Oh gosh. I do got to cut out early today, man. I got to get, do you want to plug up the show?
I will. Every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's the NFC North open mic night. We're in there talking with all four fan bases. It's our weekly Monday night show, 7 p.m. Eastern time, hosted by yours truly and produced by the maestro Russell Wayne. We have some great guests, some great football talk, some deep football analysis, and even sometimes now and then a little bit of trash talk. So leave your feelings at home. Bring your thick skin. Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, broadcasting live into Facebook.
And, we are cool to, be able to pivot off of that too, because we do understand about feelings now, and we understand that we need to keep some of your feelings into consideration. And if you want to make it a couch session where we can just talk about your team and try to help you look at it in a positive light, we can do that too. If you're worried about your feelings, you can bring your feelings. I don't want to say they can't anymore. I want to include everybody, Mike. We got to include all of them, even the hurt feeling guys. Like, we would invite you Packer fans to come back if you guys want to come and, play on the playground with us anymore. Now, since it's not so fun when you lose every time.
Right. After the Detroit Lions have been your punching bag for 30 years. And now the tables have turned and you guys got to run and hide. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Softest fan base ever.
It is the softest
and
fan
you don't
base.
even have to talk smack to them now. All you got to do is read the box score to them.
And that is the God's the honest truth, because we don't suffer from this anymore.
That's
the
right.
cure to this is winning. And when you go into the end of the game and you're up by a couple scores, it's hard to get here anymore. But you know, I'll put this thing in there while we get the music going on the back, because if it is a feelings thing, sometimes you just gotta go with the feelings right there. And you know, I appreciate everybody that watches this or listens to this or whatever they're doing in the morning. We do this every morning at 11 a.m. Football Talk with Russell Wayne and Main Event Mike. We love talking football. We're fans. We love being in here. We didn't even care when we started this thing if anybody was going to listen. Actually, we didn't think anybody was going to listen. But enough of you guys showed up. We turned this into a thing. And then we get to talk football every day.
I'm so grateful too. God bless all of you.
Yep. And I'm going to leave you with that. That's the way I love to end every one of these shows. A little blessing over your life. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you. Till we see you next time, tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Thank you for watching the broadcast today. Sorry I had to cut a little bit short today because I got to get my son off the bus. I'm going to be looking out the door while I'm talking to you right here in the background. But if you're still listening to me, you got 11 people on that YouTube. Thank you. Can you hit that like button on the YouTube if you're watching on the YouTube? That helps. That helps. It's free. It's a free way to help. We'd really appreciate it. Right on. Trade deadlines came and went. There's no better way. I don't have a bunch of extra stuff today. My mind is all fried. I got to go watch from my son right here. But there's no better way to end any broadcast than with a little bit of Green Bay tears for you.
It's not fair. They were so happy.